You can? I can't even
Uh-huh.
see that I'm on here. Okay,
Yeah,
all
this is
right.
crazy. The
My,
internet really not even the internet. I think this is the app.
yeah, because I was trying to. It says my mic is off, so you're sure you can
I can
hear
hear you.
me?
Yep.
Okay.
Uh-huh, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm trying to like deal with this whole recording and talking at the same time, which is supposed to be easy, but apparently it's just much harder than it seems. So, I don't know. I got some more tech stuff to figure out, but uh, I heard you talking about my readings. They're based off your astrology and your numerology, but they don't necessarily like reflect the astrology and the numerology exactly. It extracts the information from those systems, and basically I input it into a new system, which is much simpler and easier to understand than the complications involved in with astrology, and timing and stuff like that. So that's what my readings are basically surrounded around right now, making things simpler, not making things more complicated.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it accessible because right now the stuff is pretty inaccessible to the people. So I have information about it. It's on my website, which is fruitsandspirit.com. And on my page, my Twitter X page, I have like the link to my website. I just actually finally got it up with some things that actually make sense and some links to how I come to all of my conclusions, because the most important thing to me is that not that you get a reading from me, but that you can take the information and help your family and your friends figure out what's going on, because none of this stuff is going to align with typical astrology at this point. We're past that.
Yeah, Joe, also known as Sleepy. She's one of the few
Oh, huh.
real e-girls in the space.
Oh,
Oh, stop
wow. Love it.
Yeah, she a real one.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So I gave you this random topic that seems pretty random, but um if you're ready to get into it,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
I'll jump off the deep end.
Yeah, well, so I think let's maybe recap what this topic, how this topic came about. Was this because of like the Olympians and the oaths and the vows, or was this something else?
Yes, well, I've been no, has to do with the vows. So basically in the last talk we were talking about how Sunday was a vow day, and I was telling people that we're going to make our vow to terms. And so I made a more in-depth video about terms and started to show people how I do my research, and that's over on my channel if you're interested in that kind of stuff. So this came about because as I was doing the research for the vow live, literally doing the research how I research live, I came across a prophetess, a Sybil, and her name is Vegoia. And typically what happens with these kind of things is if the if they say that's the person's name, it's not a name, it's a title. Just like Mary is not a name. Mary is a title, and really you know what Mary you're talking about when you tell where that Mary is from. There's some kind of signifier that tells you. So like in the New Testament, you have Mary of Magdalene. Mary, that Mary was from Magdalena. That's how you know which Mary you're talking about. You have Mary of Cleopas. She was from Cleopas. That's how you know which Mary you're talking about. Even Mary I am is from the Old Testament. That was Moses' sister. Her title was Mary I am. So that's Mary of God, the I am God. So you know what I mean? Like that's how these different things are communicated. So when I saw the name Vegoia, I was like, oh, that's clearly a title. And this is from the Etruscan mythology. So again, the way that I do it is I'm looking for the answers wherever they are. So Terms is an Etruscan god. He is the Etruscan version of Mercury or Hermes. And so the vow, anyway, this is where the point I was making. The vow that we had to make two terms was actually not two terms, it was to Vegoia, because Vegoia was the prophetess. So she is the one who has the power to send the message to Laron, who is basically Aries in Etruscan mythology, we needed Vegoia to send a message through terms to Laron, who is Aries, about something very specific. So what was that very specific thing? We needed her to, we needed Aries to release Notice and Zephyrus. Notice is the north wind, Zephyrus is the west wind. We needed Notice and Zephyrus to be released onto the land. Because Notice is the spirit that basically brought about the flood. So the reason why we had the quote unquote flood and all the floods that have ever happened that have been biblical in nature have come from Notice being released onto the land. Note Notus, but it sure does sound like Notice as well. So we're not going to ignore that symbology either. So we needed Notice and Zephyrus, the northwest wind specifically, to be released on the land to cleanse the land from the wickedness. Because as I had said in my video, we have been asking for the wickedness to be cleansed from the land on the side, on the periphery, little stuff here and there, not for a full cleanse. We have not asked, I have not asked for a full cleanse because I knew what that meant. It meant there was going to be a lot of stuff going on, and I didn't want to be in the center of that at the time. But now this stuff is going on so long, I feel like I've been suffering so long that something different had to be done. Plus, we had the vow day. The vow had to go through terms. We had to send the vow to somebody, the quest to somebody, because when you make a vow, you're making a request for something. And in exchange, you do something else. So the thing that Vegoia is related to, which is because Vegoia, she's a prophetess, like I said, and specifically delivering the correct methods of measuring space, which is the calendar. So she's literally like the goddess of the calendar, right? The prophetess of the calendar, to be specific. And so the thing that's related to Vegoia is well water, specifically because I had read the scripture from the Old Testament, and I think we talked about it on our last talk too. But basically, whenever these Old Testament people were going around, we're talking specifically about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whenever they were wandering around, right? They were building wells. Like they went to a certain place, they made a vow of Vegoia, obviously, and then they built a well at that location in her honor. That's kind of like how that energy works. Everybody got a different, every entity got a different way that they operate. That's why it's not good to start working with a bunch of entities at one time, because you really got to like, this is very like intuitive. Like there's no books that's going to tell you this. Like I had to piece this together just by doing the general research on it and trying to understand, okay, how would this look in today's time? What would this look like? So the vow that I made to Vegoia was, if she allowed us to send this message to Laron through terms in her name, because basically I'm using her to vouch for me. Like she's vouching for me, saying that me doing the right thing, right? Because a lot of people go to these entities and they use them for wickedness. Like there's all kinds of wickedness that can be done when you know how this stuff works. So she is vouching for me. But remember, this is not, there's no initiation. So she's vouching for me, and I'm also vouching for her, because the one thing about these entities that ruins everything is literally if they're forgotten. They need to be remembered in order to have what they consider life. So because I'm I'm basically taking the responsibility for her, she's taking the responsibility for me, and sending this message through terms to Aries or Laron specifically to, you know, to release this torment onto the land, because that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about releasing revenge, vengeance for these gods onto the land. And so, and this vengeance comes through Notice and Zephyrus. So, and there's, if you're from the southeast like I am, they have a water brand down here in Florida called Zephyral. So it just, makes you think like they really know this stuff, like, because there's no way you're going to have a Zephyr's water that everybody down here drinks and not know that that's the god of the western wind. So it's just not how that works. So anyway, so I asked her to send this message, and in exchange for allowing me to use her to send this message and get this work done, I'm going to build a well in her honor. Not a well like you would think of a wishing well. That's why I said in my video, it's called a pump well. And basically almost in every state, you can have a pump well put in your yard where you just have a mechanical pump that you just pump it up with water, and you can get like basically free water from right in the front of your yard. Or wherever you put this pump. So I'm like, whenever I move, I'm going to have a pump put in her honor. And I'm also going to tell people to put pumps into their yards. Like, this is something that could be easily done, because if you remember last month when we had our new year, that was another vow day, and on the September the 8th. So on that vow day, I had vowed to Poseidon. Now, this is again another thing. I had vowed to Poseidon to do what I could to get everybody fresh, clean water. Well, this is building onto that. So now we have like a huge data point. It could be that the vow that we make at the beginning of the lunar year is what the theme of the year is. If so, that would be nuts. Like, that is a huge amount of data, because then you can like keep that in mind as you're making vows. So here I am making this vow to Poseidon, thinking that it's going to be about this electrolyzed water, and now it's like, no, it's not electrolyzed water, it's a pump, like a well pump. Like, oh my god, this is not where I thought this was going at all. But literally, the well pumps, they might, at the most, at least in Florida, at the most, it's like $2,000 to put one into at your house. And like I said, it's mechanical. So if something goes on with the water and nobody else has clean water coming out the pipes, you got this pump. You could just pump you some water out and you've got fresh, clean water. You want artisanal water? You just pay for that pump to get drilled down a little bit deeper, and you get artisanal water. Listen to me. Why do you need bottled water if you can get artisanal well water from your house, from literally your backyard? That is crazy to me, like insane that everybody just doesn't have a pump at their house. But I remember we did used to have pumps at our house. At my grandmother's house, we had a well pump. At my other grandmother's house, we have a well pump. My great grandmother's house actually runs off of well water, and the well ran dry, so they need to dig another well. And that's the reason why there's no water at their house, because nobody wanted to pay to get the well dug. They want to just get connected to city water. But that house ran on well water. So when the well fills up, then there's water at the house. It's another one of these little insane things that you couldn't believe unless somebody told you. So yeah, like I grew up with well water. Everywhere I went, there was well water. So this is something that we can easily introduce back into our culture. Everybody should have a well pump in their front yard. So how do we get to that point? So now that I know, okay, so let me tell you about the vow. So I told you what the vow was, to send a message to release the waters. That was on Saturday night, okay? So the vow day really started at sunrise, but I did mine a little bit early. That was Saturday night. By Monday morning, there was a wild typhoon that hit where? The northwest of America, Alaska. And basically, a lot of those so-called natives, who LARPing the energy of the darker colored natives, for lack of a bit nicer way to put that, their homes got washed away. Nobody's talking about it. It was a huge typhoon. The last typhoon that was that big was in 2014. And a lot of bad stuff happened in 2014. So yes, those people are getting washed away. And it's another band of water coming. So they're not even out of the woods yet on this. So what is that? That's to say, this is the very first time. Now, mind you, let me go back to Poseidon for a minute. If I had asked Poseidon for something stupid, like, oh, I need Poseidon to bring me some fish with coins in the mouth, and or I need Poseidon to bring me the ability to propagandize everybody with, to love me. Or if I had asked Poseidon to do something like stupid, I would have totally missed this, because what I asked Poseidon for was safe passage and safe harbor. I said, if he give me safe passage and safe harbor, I will make sure people can get clean water. That was my vow that I made. And so because I asked for safe passage and safe harbor, there's an entity called Rahab that means famine. And so what Rahab does as an entity, and the entity is the famine, is she sets up a toll booth and she collects water. So if I hadn't, but that word Rahab also means um market, right? And it means harbor, and it means all these things. So because I asked Poseidon for safe passage and safe harbor on the last vow day, on this vow day, I was able to get to Vegoia. Like, this vow that I made the other day, and this what's getting ready to happen and what's going to happen, does not happen without safe passage and safe harbor. So this is, like, again, amazing, like, data points. So that is to say, moving forward, if people want to work with Vegoia, which is what I suggest when you have to make a vow. Now, we talked a little bit about vows, but I'll mention again, if you have to make a vow, look in the Bible and look at where other Bible characters made vows. Or you could take any highly spiritual whatever that you can find. Look at how they made vows, except Abraham. Do not listen to Abraham's do not do what Abraham did. The reason why all these quote unquote Abrahamic religions are in trouble is because they're following after Abraham. And that's a really bad idea. Abraham is not it. Like, when I say he's not it, I can't say that much stronger than that. He is not the one to be following behind. It's a lot of problems with Abraham. And so look at someone else, like all kinds of vows. If you just go to your Bible app and type in vow, you'll see all kinds of vows. So model it after that. Or just like I did, it's like, if you do X for me, I'll do Y for you. Again, we're not serving these entities, okay? There's no initiation, so you don't have to spin around in a circle, put a ring of salt, none of that. That's not required. You can write it down, you can say it out loud, you can light a candle, you can say it over some water and drink it, you can light your incense and smoke it out. Anything that makes you feel comfortable. This would be based on your chart. You know what I mean? What energies are the most prevalent in your chart? But absent of that, because there is no initiation, pick anything that makes you feel comfortable. If it's grounding and doing it, whatever. Pick whatever makes you feel comfortable. You say, very respectfully, if such and such does this for me, I will do such and such. Now, this is why you got to know who you're asking. So since I know Vegoia is specifically tied into well water, we need to be building wells. There should be more wells showing up. And I say the well pump because, like I said, at least in Florida, if it's smaller than 6 inches, if your pipe is smaller than 6 inches, you don't even need a permit. You just get somebody to come out, dig a hole through the sheetrock, put in the well pump, and keep it moving. Like, you don't have to get the electric one. It doesn't
Six
have to be
inches in
fancy.
terms of like circumference,
Yeah, the pipe, like
like
they
the
yeah, like the pipe that they, because when you get okay, because she's specifically related to, like, how, like, they almost like fracking. In my mind, it reminds me of fracking, like when they dig, like, straight down into the ground, and they can dig straight down into the ground to get what you call it too, oil. But fracking is when they come in from a different direction, and they actually inject water into the ground to force the oil to come up from a different location. So that's kind of like what she's in charge of, all of that kind of thing. But yeah, if the pipe is less than 6 inches in diameter, which you don't need a 6 inch diameter pipe, you need like maybe 2, maybe 3 inches. Maybe you want to get the max that's available in your in your state. You can easily look this up and see what they allow, but you don't have to get a permit to put a well pump in. So that's what we need to be doing, especially over here on this magic side. We need to be putting well pumps in. in the honor of Vegoia, let's be specific, because Vegoia is the one who can take what we're asking for to where it needs to be and get the job done. I've never ever asked for something and seen it show up in 24 hours. Never. Like
Until you use her.
definitively, until I use her, definitively show up. Like literally
Wow.
in it's what is Alaska? Alaska is the furthest north you can go on this continent, and it's the furthest west you can go on this continent. There's no point further north and west you can go that's except for Alaska. So that was very specific. What I asked for was very specific. And I got exactly what I specifically asked for. I've never seen it before. Never.
So with this specific vow slash offering, so what was it again that you asked her? Like it was
I asked,
in
okay,
return for doing the pump, for doing a water pump slash promoting water pumps, which I think is obviously a great narrative. What were you going to get in return, or what was she going to do? What was going to happen?
I asked for the northwest winds to be released onto the land.
Okay. And
Okay,
so
why is that?
what is why? Why? What does that mean? What's
Okay, that's about to say. So the north winds is Notice, right? He is the one that brought the waters that started the flood that everyone talks about, like everywhere. He is the one that started that flood with his winds. And when I was again doing my research actually into something else, and this just happened to like fit in perfectly, I found out that Notice doesn't really operate without one of his brothers, the south winds. So I needed the west winds because again it's very specific. What I was asking for, it had to be the northwest winds. And so I asked for those winds to be released on the land, which basically means for the wickedness to be flooded out. Because when they talk about Notice by himself specifically, they also talk about the waters from the lake of fire. And so basically what the lake of fire is supposed to do, like in Revelation, is it's supposed to be what frees you from your wickedness. You get thrown into the lake of fire as a baptismal ritual to be freed from your sins so that you can move on to the next thing. That's what that actually means. Again, I haven't done all of the deep research into Revelation on that yet, but obviously I'm going to have to. So what we need is this country, this land, to be released from the sins that got this land into place. And so why did it have to be in Alaska? Because I found out also during my research in 1780. Now this is the 1700s. In 1782, I believe, or 62, 1742. I'm sorry. In 1742. Okay, the very first expedition from Russia enters into Alaska at the same point that just got flooded out, basically. It entered into Alaska, and that's where they quote unquote discovered the indigenous quote unquote people to America. And they also started, that is the very start of the academic quote unquote research area of ethnography. And if you don't know what ethnography is really the erasure of native black people. Like there's no other way to describe it. Every ethnographer that is out there is literally working to erase the story of native black people who are native to the land and replace it with someone else's story. So they can say, oh, well, yeah, black people do this, but we found this remote group of people over here that also do this. So they did it first and the black people copy them. It's like, no, we actually did it first and they got it from us. Like, this is an ongoing narrative in the native black community. They find other people that do the same thing we do. And instead of saying, oh, these are the people who did it first, they automatically go and say, no, those people over there, they did it first. And these somehow black people learned it from Europe when Europeans weren't even coming to America. Black Americans were going to Europe, but Europeans was not coming to America because they didn't know how to get here. And somehow we're doing the same thing, but they somehow like taught us, even though we never interacted with those people over here on this land before. This is the kind of stuff that's been going on since ethnography was discovered in 1742, coming in through that land in the Bering Strait, specifically in Alaska. And so that is a sign to me in my research that that's where this whole narrative began, where they started erasing the native quote unquote black people from the land and replacing them with people who were more Asiatic in features. And that has never stopped.
And these are the so-called Native Americans.
Right, the so-called Native Americans,
And more of
the
like
ones that they call them indigenous
the Northwest.
now. And the tribes, I mean, all the tribes have been co-opted by these people because maybe I didn't say it, but I'll say it again if I didn't say it before. What they did, all these ethnographers in the 1830s, starting in the 1830s, because this guy founded ethnography in 1752. Okay, and they basically, from 1752 to the 1830s, that's when they started figuring we're going to have to use it on these black people that is in America because they say they're from the land. So we got to figure out how we're going to use it on them. And so in the 1830s, that's when they started going around to all these tribes, right? Taking their clothes. Now, listen, this is going to sound crazy, but you can look at the pictures and know that it's not like a lie. Taking the clothes from the real natives who are on the land, giving them to Asiatic featured tribal members, perhaps, but people who are on the land, and basically taking pictures of them. Because one of the questions I had when I started like the research I was doing into Frederick Douglass was, why was he the most photographed person? Like, why was he the most photographed person of the 1800s? That seemed really odd and unusual to me, because why was that? Well, now I understand why. Because they want to make it seem like all of the natives from the land look like Frederick Douglass. And that way the natives from the land could not also look like who they were now calling the Native Americans.
And
So the
Frederick
black
Douglass was
people,
wearing like suits, right? Wasn't he kind of looking like
oh
formal?
God, yes, but and Frederick Douglass never smiled in any pictures because he did not want to be seen as one of those happy Negroes. So he never smiled, which I thought was nuts. You mean to tell me a smile is going to make you be seen as a happy Negro? That's weird. Like, again, I got major problems with Frederick Douglass' story. I haven't made the video yet, but it's going to be about a 2.5 hour video whenever I get to make it, because his story don't add up at
Why?
all.
So he
Not
was the
one
most
iota.
photographed?
Yes,
It's the
he was
I'm
the
looking at
most
his
photographed
images and it's the
person.
same, it's like the same pose.
Yes,
The
every
same
picture was
pose,
exact.
the same like type of clothing, like there's nothing different.
Exactly. Exactly. He was the most photographed person of the 18.
Mm,
You see how big the propaganda is?
yeah, yes, it's
That
big.
huge propaganda. He was called the King of the Negroes. He was the first one to be called the King of the Negroes. Then they got Martin Luther King. They didn't like him too much because he went against the program. So then they brought in Obama. So this is the pattern that they
Mm.
have. They want to give the Negroes a king, and the black people keep saying, "We don't want a king. We don't need a king. Why are you giving us a king? We don't even deal in kings. What are you talking about?" Like, every time they do this, we revolt against it. People revolted against Frederick Douglass. I mean, he had his uh, I mean, I could really talk about his story extensively, but I will just say this. He is from where my dad is from in the country. There is no possible way that he went from the country in Tyaskin, which is in the eastern shore of Maryland, to Baltimore, and any white person did anything with him. His story says that the white boys taught him how to read. Baltimore is the most racist place in this country to this day. No white boys taught him how to read. No, absolutely not. Did not happen. So what really happened? That white woman that bought him was probably having sex with him and taught him how to read. More than likely is what I say. And I have been telling this same exact story since 2016. The math is not mathing with him. My dad is from that area. When I told you last time, when they integrated in the 70s, integration was supposed to happen in the 50s. When they integrated in the 70s, that's how long it took them in the Eastern Shore. He had to fight those white people every day. And he was the star football player, and he still had to fight them every day. He talks about that.
Crazy.
Insane.
Yeah, that was 100 years later. Because Douglas was 1850s,
right? Yeah,
more or
that's
less,
100 years
1840s.
later. And 100 years later, and my dad is still fighting white folks in the country. Don't tell me that this man learned how to read and speak and all that stuff in Baltimore. And Baltimore and the Eastern Shore are not really that close. So let me just be specific. Baltimore is a city. Tyaskin is the country. And his wife is from Dalton, which is like a city as well, but they don't really have cities. They're like plantations, basically. So if he was from Tyaskin, it was a Tyaskin plantation. If she's from Dalton, it's a Dalton plantation. And she was a landowner. That's a whole nother thing. Like the math ain't mathing with Frederick Douglass, but I don't want to get too much on a Frederick Douglass tip because that I've been studying that really extensively because my family is from there. And so I'm just like, this don't make sense with what I see, with where it doesn't add up. It's not, the math is not mathing. And like I said, my dad is from there. So I could ask him questions like, what about this? What about that? And I would ask him questions. He would be like, nah, that don't sound right. Like I rolled this story back to him when I first started putting it together in 2016. And he was like, nah, that don't sound right. Now, mind you, every black person has accepted this story hook, line, and sinker. I'm the only one who is saying the math ain't mathing. Like, this don't make any sense. And it's because I have roots in Maryland. So I can literally reach through my bloodline and figure out whether it's something that sounds realistic or not. So my first theory was that Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass looked very similar. And that could also be true as well because of the whole, again, they were propagandizing people. So people, and think about the 1800s in general. There was no TV. There was only newspapers. You didn't actually get to hear what the person sound like. You only got to see what they said. And basically, if you have two guys that look, because Frederick Douglass was campaigning for Lincoln. He was campaigning for him. And so how could you campaign for somebody? Let me put it this way. If you looked close enough to the person, like you dress like them, you kind of look like them, you could campaign as them. And then every town would think, oh, wow, the president elect, one who's running for president, actually came to see us. And you would be more likely to vote to that person. Because remember, these people had to go campaign by foot, by horse, by train. This was not no easy thing. Like, so if you have somebody who looks like the president showing up to your small little town in the middle of nowhere asking for your vote, you might consider it. Like, oh wow, he made the time and the effort to come all the way out here. So that was my first theory. But the more I dug into it, the more it didn't make any sense. And then when you add in the story of PBR, who I told you, Pascal Beverly Randolph, he is the godfather of modern esotericism. When you add him into the story, because he was born in 1825, so he was roaming around at this time too. So you have this massive master magician, like a master magician, roaming around the world, because that's kind of like what he did. Then he came, like finally got back to America around 1850, and he started like setting up his practice and all of this. And what was he telling people? Yeah, you need to love each other. We need to heal. And you had a certain fragment of this country that was trying to fight. Remember the Civil War and all this stuff? They're trying to rile up a fight, and you have this white looking Negro saying, nah, we don't need to fight. Let's love. Let's turn off the lights and make some babies. Like, that's what he's talking about. So that's gonna clash. Then when you find out Frederick Douglass became the very first foreign minister to Haiti. Why did we need a foreign minister in Haiti? Why do we need what are those people called that work at the embassy? Why do we need an embassy in Haiti? What's that about?
Ambassador.
Ambassador. He became the very first ambassador to Haiti. Now, why? Now,
Wow.
mind you, they were saying black people was from Africa. They was trying to convince us we was from Africa even at that point. So why wouldn't he be the ambassador to Africa, but the ambassador to Haiti? Then you realize he was using ceremonial magic. So you have PBR who's trying to basically tell people you don't need no initiation, just do this and it works, because that's folk magic, against ceremonial magic guy Frederick Douglass. Then the story starts to make sense. And I already did a lot of the research and recorded it. Like, it's literally like the whole thing is just nuts. Like the boats and all this stuff. Frederick Douglass was very, very involved with a lot of espionage. Let's just put it that way. And they tried to clean it up. But again, if you actually can feel the history in your blood, then you can read between the lines and say, wait a minute, like he had got involved with some people who own boats. And then the boats mysteriously burned up and they collected the insurance. Like, this is the kind of stuff that was going on. And you have to say, well, wait a minute. You mean to tell me these people had boats, no problems with the boats until this man shows up and now the boats are burning up? Okay, I see how this you can see how the game is being played. It's the same, and it's the same things they do today. It's not like they're doing anything new. They're playing the same scam even to this day with look at Leticia James and her whole thing, and come to find out that the niece that was living in the house is a fugitive of justice, and they're running the same scam. This is the same ratchet ass scam they've been running for 300-400 years. I don't even know how long.
Wow. Yeah, that's
That was a tangent,
so
but
yeah, so going back to the northwest winds,
yes,
so you made a vow and you called for the northwest winds to basically sweep through or come through,
to be released.
and okay, to be
Because
released,
I didn't know what
which
that meant. I did not know what that meant when I said it. Because if you watch the
mm,
video, you will see me say, be released? Like, I really did. Like, I don't know what I'm asking. Like, I just, like, my brain puts it together and then I say it out of my mouth. Like, okay, I guess that's what it needs to be.
right.
I don't know. Like, I'm not like in charge here. I'm just kind of like doing the thing, but I'm not in charge.
And so the first result of that was this typhoon in Alaska.
Yes.
Now it's interesting because last time we spoke on Friday, you also mentioned part of this, the holy water. And this whole
Right.
weekend, leading up to yesterday, Columbus Day, Monday, it was raining the whole day, the whole
It's
weekend.
crazy.
It was drizzling, raining. There were even um, New York and New Jersey was even talking about potentially there being like flooding. I don't think it happened. Maybe it did in some areas, but uh,
Right. They were worried that was going to be horrible. They canceled the Columbus Day parade.
yeah.
That was another part of
Oh,
it.
wow.
They
I didn't
canceled
know
the
they did
Columbus
that.
Day parade. Yeah, in New York, they
Mm.
canceled it. In Phoenix, Arizona, they canceled it. I think
Yeah, Phoenix
in
has been raining a lot.
somewhere else. Yeah, because my friend is out there. So
It was
yeah,
raining a
they
lot
canceled it
there.
out
I think
there. They
flooding too.
canceled in New York.
It was
Yeah,
flooding in
yeah,
Phoenix
they've had flooding.
because
Yeah,
obviously the
because
water
they
can't.
got rain all
Yeah, the
weekend.
water can't like absorb. The
No,
ground can't absorb the water.
no, because it doesn't usually get this much water, and especially in Arizona, this has been a very mild summer. Compared to, they're already like summer is over. So in Arizona, they have two seasons. It's like either 115 degrees or it's 70 degrees. Literally, they're two seasons, and so they're already switched. They're in 70 degrees now, which to me is cold. Being a Floridian,
Yeah,
I think it's cold, but
yeah. I mean, it's
they're
cold
like,
for
oh, it's
Arizona
great.
for sure.
Yeah, 70s. She said it gets down to the 30s sometimes, but
Wow.
um yeah. But yes, now it's in their normal like regular weather, which is like crazy. So that's another thing. That rain brought the change of the seasons. There, not in Florida, it's still freaking hot. But I like the heat, so I'm actually excited about the fact that we haven't gotten cold yet. But yeah, the whole canceling of Columbus, because remember, Columbus came to this country and not going to talk about what everybody else talks about. I'm going to talk about his boats. Okay, wait a minute. Before I say that, the boats that the guy who discovered ethnography came here in, the name of the boats were St. Peter and St. Paul. So I already told y'all that it was St. Peter and St. Paul who guard the gates of heaven. That's what their job is. And when they had that dumb diverses, what did they do? Every cold-blooded murderer, killer, rapist, everybody who came to the gates, they let them in as if they were a new baby and totally wiped out their sins because of that contract and the dumb diverses. So it's no coincidence that these Russians took boats named St. Peter and St. Paul to these quote unquote Russian islands, which they found out was America, and literally was able to get through the gates. That was in the 1700s. But what do we have in allegedly in the 1400s? You got Columbus coming here to this land and quote unquote discovering the natives. So these people keep discovering people, quote unquote, who was already here. And then when they got here, when they quote unquote discovered them, the first thing they did was try to take them out, try to take them over, because that's what happened when the Russian expedition got back to Russia. They had bought some of the beaver fur, whatever, with them back, and they decided it was the best fur in the whole world. And so that's when you had a bunch of the Russians coming to Alaska to settle in and hunt the beavers up there because it was the best fur in the world. So they came over here for commercial purposes to drain the land. Same thing Columbus did. He came over here to drain the land. So you have those people being washed away in the Northwest, and then in the Northeast, you have that part being washed. Not as severely as the Northwest, but probably because it was longer ago when Columbus came here. Although the 1700s is pretty like far away, but it's not as far as the 1400s.
Interesting. Um, so the so we saw the winds, you know, the rain. We saw the
Mm-hmm.
wind, um, which is, as you said,
Because it
it's
was
a
a
great sign.
typhoon. Because it was a typhoon. So typhoon is winds. It's winds that push the water. So
Mm.
that's kind of how you have to look at it. It's very weird. Like I'm still processing that part. Like if I ask for winds, why does water come? If I ask for water, does that mean winds come? I don't know. I haven't done all the calculations yet. But this stuff is a little bit counterintuitive because we're not used to working with the elements like this.
You know, it's funny because you mentioned working with the elements, and I've begun to do that the last few days, especially when you talk to me about the importance of me like connecting with water.
Mm-hmm.
I've been outside, when I'm outside, like on the porch. I actually was like showing gratitude and devotion to the wind, specifically yesterday. Um, so it's interesting that you're talking about working with the elements, because it's like I've kind of been slowly doing that, especially also when I'm in the shower and the water's hitting me. I
Yeah.
show gratitude to water, embracing the water, embracing that element, and then also uh, kind of showing gratitude and devotion to Poseidon, which I haven't really been
Right.
working with too much, but now I'm beginning to work with him because obviously he represents the water. They're very
Right.
closely connected. So
Yes.
so then so from this wind, that you have basically brought forth, like what's happening? What do you see playing out? What like what's next in terms of as this develops? Because I mean, clearly, obviously, we're seeing the physical weather aspects of what you just did, but how does this impact the overall infrastructure of this system?
So I don't have an entire answer for that yet, but I did have a dream. And hopefully this will bring some more insight. I don't know. So I had a dream last night. Actually, it was like this morning. And in the dream, I was in like a warehouse, like a strip mall, but it was a school. It was like the school that I work at, but it's not in a warehouse strip mall like that. So it's very weird. And in that in the building, when I walked in the building, I basically walked into a meeting, and the meeting was with Trump, Vance, Rubio, the whole board,
In your dream?
his whole, yeah, not yet in my
Oh
dream.
shit.
I was
When was
meeting with
this?
the
When was
whole
this?
board. This was this morning.
Wow.
Yeah, this was this morning. It was me, but it was me and some other black tribal leaders. So not them ones
Mm.
that you be seeing where they're like, oh, they got the feathers and all. No, 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 like just regular black ones. And the one that I specifically, it was a
The
few of
ones
them.
wearing baby
And the
fat.
one, not babies. These were older people. These were older people. So the ones that looked more like Frederick Douglass, okay, they was dressed up really nice.
Okay.
But the one that I remember specifically was an older guy, and he had glasses on. And first of all, I told Trump and them, I was like, listen, I don't want to hear what y'all have to say. You guys better reopen this government by the 12th day, because if you don't reopen the government by the 12th day, you're not going to be able to reopen the government. I specifically remember telling them that, and that's something I need to mention again once I finish telling this dream. And then I said to the black guy, because I got the feeling like he's the one who was holding back my contract, and I was like, and you need to release my contract. You need to release my contract. I'm not coming in here and doing any more negotiating for anybody if my contract is not released. So I was just yelling at everybody. And then over the loudspeaker, I heard van drivers to the back, because I drive the bus at the school. So I just get up and walk out their meeting. I'm like, I don't have nothing else to say. Y'all need to figure out what y'all gonna do. So I got up and I walked out and I went back to like where the vans were parking. We normally park the vans behind the school, but when I got out there, some of the vans was on the ground, but half the vans were like lifted up like they were about to be towed away. And so my boss was trying to figure out how to get the van from being towed away back down onto the ground. And I was like, I don't have nothing to do with this. This ain't got nothing to do with me. So I basically walked away from that. So I walked through a door, and when I got out the door, it was like a church, with a like rolling hills, like it's green. There was a bunch of kids, like teenagers out there sitting at like picnic tables. And my priest was when I got out there, he's like, "Oh, you're finally here." And I was like, "Yeah, sorry I'm running late." And he was like, "Okay, well, you need to have some of these, like they look like leaflets, like or something like newspaper style leaflets." He was like, "You need to have some of these to pass out." And he said, "But you have to bring your own bag." And I was like, "Oh, I have bags at home." And he was like, "No, no, no. I mean, just like today, you needed to bring your own bag because I only have one plastic bag." But he had a paper bag, so he pulled out the paper bag. He put some of these leaflets in the bag. He was like, "Don't make sure you get some of these, then when you're coming the next time." And I said, "I usually get them from the back of the church." And he just looked at me like I had 12 heads, and I was like, "Okay, I guess I won't get them from the back of the church." He was like, "Okay, I'm going." So then I walk over to the teenagers, and I start teaching them about how to set goals and how to like get to where they're going and how to correlate it with the Bible and what the Bible says and all of that. And then after that, I woke up. So maybe that's where it's going. It seems pretty relevant, because
Yeah,
the
very.
government must reopen within 12 days. This is what we got to put our energy into.
Mhm.
Because if they don't reopen by the 12th day, what the Democrats are doing is magic, okay? I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. They're doing magic. And so the magic number is 13, not 12, not 11. The magic number is 13. And so if they get to the government being closed for 13 days, they think that they're going to retake the energy of the government, because they are the ones that caused the shutdown. Specifically, they are the reason the government is shut down. So they're trying to regain the energy by causing all this suffering. So I had to sit back and think about this, right? Because I don't care if the government's open or closed or not. But what it's doing, because I'm from DC, I know what's going on. It's not the higher level people, who are not going to be reimbursed for this time off. It's the single mom who is a security officer because she's a contractor. She's not going to get any money for this time. It's mostly affecting poor Black people, because Black people is the only ones who work as those kind of like non-government government jobs. Those like people who work at the restaurants, people who work as the chefs, people who work in like security is a huge job for Black women, poor Black women, not these educated ones who know everything. Poor Black women in DC, security is like a dream job for them. And so that's who it's affecting, not these government employees, but the ones that are like surrounded by the government. That's the contractors. That's who it's really affecting. And the contractors, now mind you, the contractors get paid in advance. So they could absolutely still pay the contractees for not working. But instead they keep the money and don't pay the people. It's total lunacy. Like, when I say it's one of the most worst scams like they got going in DC, it absolutely is. So the longer they keep the government closed, the more it affects those people. And so now they think, oh, we're going to keep the government closed for 37 days, 40 days. Like if they get the 40 days is a Venus retrograde cycle. So that's them taking over the Venus cycle. So this is how they do their ceremonial magic. They involve a bunch of unwilling bystanders into their nonsense who are going to be terribly affected by what they're doing. So that's why I told Trump they got to reopen the government within 12 days. More than 12 days is unacceptable. 12 days makes the point. But if they get to that 13th day, we cannot allow them to reopen the government at all. Period. Because they should have done it in 12 days. Now I've told them, I've made posts about it. I've said it in videos. I've told them face to face in the dream realm. That's enough warnings. I don't feel like more warnings is necessary for me. They need to reopen that government like within 12 days. And I don't know what day
And
it's
how
on
many
now.
days? Oh, okay.
I think because yesterday was a day off. I'm not really sure. I have to go and look. I think they only have like 3 or 4 more days left because yesterday was a day off because it was a federal holiday. Let me see if I can figure that out real quick. I don't know. Let me see.
So it shut down October 1st.
Yeah, but let me see.
Began to shut down, I guess at midnight.
Right. Let me see. If somebody just says how many days it is. Let's see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is the 9th day. 10, 11, 12. So by Friday, when we're gonna talk again on Friday, if they have not opened this government by
By
Friday, when they
Friday.
get to Monday, no, they're not going to be. If they don't open the government by Friday, they cannot open it on Monday. We will not allow them. Like we have to be that serious because they're playing with people's lives for no reason. It's the Democrats. They're playing with people's lives for no reasons, and that's unacceptable. And I don't care if it's not Trump's fault or whoever's fault. He's the president. He's the one that got to take the responsibility. So he got days left. Yeah, he got 3 days left to figure it out. I don't care. Because because the point I'm making is because they're only going to do a continuing resolution until Thanksgiving. So they're going to do this again right before Christmas and hold Christmas over people's heads. Nah, I'm not okay with that. This is the kind of games the Democrats play. They always do this. And since I'm from the region, I see how they do this every time. Like they do this every time, and it's literally enough. It's enough.
Okay, yeah, good to know that. Good to know that the day is Friday.
Yep.
Um, so with these wins, with these wins that you're bringing forth, I mean, it's just just putting more pressure on the system to essentially crack from the misalignment that it has been built off of.
Yeah.
Is that really you're just putting pressure basically on the system by bringing these winds forth?
I think that's, I mean, I don't know. Like, my specific language was for these guys to be released on the land. I don't know what that means. Like, I mean,
Yeah, okay.
my thought process was, okay, if the winds are released, then maybe like it'll wipe away the spirits, like the evil spirits that's on the people, and not necessarily be like real. Because I really don't want to see people harmed or whatever. I'm not like wishing for people to die. So I'm thinking in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, it might be a, you know, a spiritual revival that makes people come to their senses and stop being ridiculous and acting like black people weren't here. Like, stop telling this lie and treating black people like the enemy when we really just want to be left alone. Like, we have removed I told you last time, we have removed our energy from this system. We're not participating in all of this stuff. And that was something that I asked for 3 years ago, for our people to stand down. It took 2 years for that to show up. Now our people all got the message. We're all standing down. So people should be able to see that without our energy, nothing, you know, they ain't got no motion. But that's not what's happening. What they're seeing is, oh, well, it's black people's fault that this is going on. Wait a minute. We're not even in this. Why are y'all putting us in this when we're not even in this? So because they just can't keep us out of it, like, I guess they have to physically be removed. But that's not what I was specifically thinking in my mind. What I was specifically thinking was just take away the evil spirits, and maybe people's heart is, you know, I'm naive. So I'm like, maybe their hearts aren't really like, they don't really hate us. Like, we didn't do anything to anybody to make them hate us like this, but that's not the case. They really like hate black people because of whatever they said that we did that was probably not even a person from this land, but because we all have the same skin color, they just dump us all in the same category, which is, they don't do that to anybody else in the planet, only to people in America. It's very, only to black people. It's very weird. Like, if you're a white person, you can be a white Englishman, a white Frenchman. It based on the language you speak. You could be a white Hispanic. You could be a white Arab. You know what I mean? Like, they treat every other group with respect. But when I say I'm a black American and I'm not from Africa, then there's a whole problem. Like, no, I'm not from Africa. Or when I tell the black natives that no, I'm not from Europe, because that's what the black natives, oh, we're all from Europe. No, I'm not. I'm not from Europe. I'm from America. Or when I tell, you know, the black islanders I'm not from the island. Like, when you start telling the different, or the black Muslims that I'm not from Saudi Arabia, wherever they think we're from, like, I'm not from there. Like, then they get all, oh, we're all from ancient Kemet. I'm not from Kemet. I'm from America. Like, I don't know why there's such a problem. Why can't I just be from here? But it's a problem for everybody on this whole planet for a black person to be like, no, I'm from America. Like Southeast America. That's where I'm from. They don't want to hear that. They want you to like claim everybody else's land so that they can take over the blessing of this land. And I'm not saying, that's why I told that guy he had to give me my contract back. Like, you messing with my money, like, you messing with my life, give me my contract back. Like, stop pretending to be me, speak on my behalf. That's why I was in that meeting cussing all of them out. Now, mind you, that was my second dream. Like, people don't normally get two full-fledged detailed dreams like this in one night, much less one like before 4 a.m. and then another one after 4 a.m. That's like, that doesn't happen. Like, this is like really nuts, I think, in general. But
Yeah, I mean,
whatever, I don't really.
I mean, dreaming of these people like Trump and Marco Rubio, I've never dreamt of any of like any politician or any of that. So, I mean, and obviously everyone dreams differently, but I definitely would say for you to dream of these people and in these scenarios, yeah, that's a big deal. That's a really
Now,
significant
I
deal.
did
And
have one dream about Trump before, where he was actually there, but he was giving a speech, and or like a town hall or something, and I was there again with my family members that's from that Baltimore area, and my mom had said, I had told them, okay, y'all go ahead without me because we were supposed to go somewhere. And my mom was like, oh, she's always so busy. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, I got stuff to do. And I had gone back into like the little hall place. And because somebody, oh, I know what it was. One of the people asked him a question about this whole food thing where they're like trying to put sodas off of food stamps. And somebody had brought up the fact that, you know, different like groups use different things for healing. And so like specifically what was on my mind was how Black people use ginger ale as like medicine. You know what I mean? And so it's like, if you take that off the food stamps, like this is somebody's healing modality. Like, are y'all even considering this? Like when you're making your decisions? And Trump had responded to her really off the collar. And I was pretty upset at that. So I had gone and talked to one of his assistants afterwards and was like, hey, let me talk to you. Like, where are y'all going for lunch? I need to go with y'all because I need to have a conversation with somebody about, because they don't, obviously nobody in the administration is talking about how Black people, you know, do our thing. Like ginger ale is, if you ask a Black person about ginger ale, they'll be like, yeah, if I feel sick, I'm getting some ginger ale. The ginger ale don't have no ginger in it, but they going to get them some ginger ale. Like that's our thing. So like taking that off the food stamps is really kind of like problematic. So that was, you know, that was the only other dream I had where he was in there. I was really pissed off at something he said. And I was like, no, someone needs to tell him the truth because obviously nobody knows what's going on. But other than that, I don't allow celebrities and stuff in my dreams because if you have a dream with a celebrity in it that's uninvited, right? They are harvesting your energy. And so, like, for example, if I were to have a dream right now about Taylor Swift, I would have a problem because this little heifer is trying to harvest energy. So, no, you better not be in my dreams doing nothing because that's what they do. They put out this music and they use the music to harvest energy. So, they use the music to get into people's dreams so they can harvest their pure energy from their dream state.
Interesting. So I guess maybe to just conclude with Vegoia as well as with
Yes.
Vows, maybe if you can provide like a summary slash pointers in terms of how we individuals can apply what you are learning, what you've done to our own life in terms of, okay, like what type of vows would you recommend? Like what is kind of this whole doing the vows thing? How can other people, especially those listening, take the work that you've done and basically like kind of try it out for themselves, or like what would
Okay.
you recommend in terms of how to maneuver this?
So, first, I would start with something small. Like, obviously I'm doing big stuff that I don't recommend people do because I'm not saying that it won't work. It probably will work. What I'm saying is you might not be able to live with the results because again, I was asking for like, I didn't think there was going to be an actual flood. Like Alaska about to get hit again. Like I didn't know, but I wanted a final solution. Again, when you go to Aries or Laron, you're asking for a final solution. So I wouldn't recommend operating like that. I would recommend doing something small because 9 times out of 10, you can't put a pump in your house right now, right? But what you can do is you can go to find a pump or find a lake, find a river. What is it? Find oh goodness.
Oh,
There's
like
a
the
website.
spring, natural
Find a
springs, something
spring,
like
yes.
that.
You can go to findaspring.com. Okay. You can go to findaspring.com. And when you go to find a spring, I'm glad you said that because I was like, my brain is froze. When you go to findaspring.com, you will find a lot of places where they have basically these well pumps in place that you can pretty much go up to at any time you get ready and fill up your water containers. Okay. So you can make a vow to Vegoia like that. Like, if you know, you will help me do something. Now, what is the something you should ask her with? Vegoia is a prophetess, right? Her specific area is related to contracts, which was another reason why I was like, oh yeah, that's my girl. Her specific area is related to contracts and the calendar. So you can say to Vegoia, Like, if you help me understand this and pick a cycle. If you help me understand the 12-day cycle, right? Or the the Zolkin month cycle, or the 9-day market cycle, like pick some, or even let's say you want to just do astrology. Help me understand the temple of, we're in Libra right now, the temple of Libra, the temple of Scorpio, or you could follow the moon cycles. Like, help me understand all the 9 different moon stages. Like, help me understand how this works. Like, pick some part of the calendar, pick some contract that you're working on. So for example, if you're trying to negotiate a new contract for work or something, if you're trying to get a new contract, if you're trying to like get a new job, if you're trying to come out of your job and go into contracting, something like that, ask her to help you with something in the realm of contracts, non-commercial contracts. So this is not help me get a bank loan, help me get this loan, help me get a new credit card, not that kind of stuff. Like private contracts where you're going to work for somebody, you're trying to get new clients, like those kind of contracts. That's her wheelhouse. Ask her to help you with that, or with something to deal with the calendar. Specifically, the calendar is a method of measuring space. That's what she is related to. So ask for something within those two realms. Um, and say, if you help me understand this calendar or get these contracts, I will go to my nearest spring and I will have some water in your honor. And it could be as simple as that. Remember, ain't nobody said the name Vegoia probably in 40 or 50 years. Like, nobody is talking about her. Like, of all the, now mind you, this is probably one of the first Sibyls, one of the first prophetesses, because she's from the Etruscan era, which is before the Roman era. Is the one who crowned the last Etruscan king before it switched into Rome. She's very, very powerful. So yeah, this is, nobody has said her name. So just by you engaging her energy and saying her name, you are literally like breathing life into her. And as more people breathe life, that's why you want to make it simple. More people breathe life into her, the better it is. Or let's say you can't get to a spring, right? You can get carbonated spring water. I mean, spring water is okay, but you want the kind, um, you want artesian water. So you can go to your Whole Foods, Fresh Market, what Sprouts, whatever, buy the most expensive bottle of spring water you can, or sparkling water, and drink that in her honor. Like, pick something that's along the lines of getting fresh, like and maybe you could buy 2 bottles so that you can share one with a friend or something like that. Because also we want to, we also have to evangelize on behalf of working with these entities, because no one's ever heard of them. And just by giving somebody, hey, I got this extra bottle of spring water, would you like some? Somebody did this to me a few weeks ago, which is, I mean, this stuff is really crazy. And I know that's not why, but that just came to my mind. Like, now you're sharing this super expensive spring water with somebody that has never even, known that there was water like this, probably, and they might like actually love it. So that's the kind of thing that you want to do. You want to you want to you want to engage with her energy like that. So something related to the calendar, something related to private contracts, and in exchange you want to engage with water in her honor. It could be, like I said, spring water, or you can go and actually find a spring, go to the pump your own water, bring that water back, drink it, dedicate it to her, whatever. It doesn't, this is folk magic, so it's no salt, no salt rings, no calling on demons and singing and dancing, and none of that. Just, if you do it, it works. And this is proof of that. If you do it, it works.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah, I think I don't know, it might have been a friend of mine. He had a dream that I think someone offered him water and he already had water. Or I don't know if it was you. I don't know. There was someone about a water bottle. I don't remember when it was. It was like the
I
last
made that
week.
comment of Yeah, I made that comment about my aunt that she could sell you a bottle of water when you already had a bottle of water in your
Oh,
hand.
yes, I think that
I
was
told
it.
the
I
whole
think that was
story.
it.
That's crazy.
I
Like,
think that
how
was it.
crazy is that I'm talking about that? And this is literally what everything is connected. Like, again,
That was
now,
it. That was it. That was it. Yeah.
if you guys have been following this, now you can see the stuff that I'm saying is showing up within a week. What the real meaning of it is. Like, this is a fantastic advancement because before I was saying stuff, it was taking 6, 9, 12,
Mhm.
24 months to show. It took
Right.
3
Yep.
years for this stuff to show up.
Same. Same.
Now it's
Instant. Yep.
24 hours.
Yeah,
There's
the
a
turnaround is
catastrophic
insane.
storm.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
So
it's
that's
interesting
just proof
because
that it works.
with the water bottle example that you had, it was literally like, you had I had a certain quality of water bottle, but she had like a better one, or at least she could sell
Right.
it better. And so I
Yes.
decided to get that water, and I think I gave her my water bottle or some it was some
Yes, that's what
example
you
like that.
said. That's what you said. You said, and you gave us that's or that's what I said. I said you gave her your water and she drank your water. Meanwhile, you bought water from her when you already had water. Yeah, that's
And I
exactly
think
like what I
that's in
said.
many ways like partly what is being done in terms of what we're doing is like it's like whether you have access to water or not, this is the water that you're going to be sold on. Like this is
Right.
the the drink that you're
Mm.
going to be given. And now that reminds me,
Wow.
in Dune the movie, there is a water called the water of life. And
Mm.
we actually talked about this a few weeks ago, the water of life, where uh,
Oh yes, I
like
remember
the Bene
with the
Gesserit,
bug.
these powerful witches were the only ones. They had to literally be trained, and have generations after generations come up, like be trained to be able to withstand the water of life. And the water of life gave them
Mm.
access to all of their history, like all of the memories of their bloodline,
Mm.
essentially, as well as these very powerful kind of intuitive abilities. And then in the movie, but in the books as well, Paul Atreides, who is, I guess, like the first emperor, the first, I forgot what they call it, kind of like the chosen one for their kind. He was the first man to be able to drink the water of life and not die. And by drinking the
Mm.
water of life, he was able to gain perfect prescience. He was able to see the
Mm.
past, present, and future. So
Wow.
I think there's something there with the water.
Maybe, yeah, maybe that's what we'll get. I mean, I don't know. I thought that dream that I had was really strange. All of those people and me just yelling at everybody and then going on to give a motivational speech. That just seemed entirely random. Like the whole thing, like even like a dream with my priest in it, never happened to me before. Never
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, we
So
have
I
to
don't
mull. We
know
have to
what's
mull
going
over
on.
that for sure. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
something
I know.
there.
I've been thinking about it all day. Like, I'm not really sure what's going on with this, but it seems to be relevant to all of this. And I really wanted to bring up the whole shutdown thing because people think that it's a thankless crime and that, oh, it's only the government employees. Actually, it's really single moms who are going to be affected the most by this government shutdown. So they really need to like quit it. And using the single moms as like fodder for their political junk is really disgusting. Disgusting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, these people they're so down bad at the moment that like if they didn't care before, they definitely don't care at this point because
Well,
they're just doing everything they can to maintain their power. I mean, and I
right.
think what
It's
you
too late.
brought forth, this wind is going to, it's like, well, you can keep being wicked, but now it's only going to worsen if one continues
Right.
to be wicked.
Right.
And
There's
so I think
consequences
whatever
now.
plan the
Before
Democrats
there were no
have,
consequences.
right? Yeah. Yeah, whatever plan the Democrats have is going to backfire significantly. And it's not just whether it's Democrats or Republicans, because the Republicans also are getting, like, you have, what's her name? Taylor Green, Mary, no, what's her name?
Yeah,
MTG.
MTG,
You know,
Marjorie.
she's
Yeah,
beginning to start
Marjorie.
kind of talking about like where's the MAGA movement? Basically kind of pushing back on whatever Trump is doing. You know, because it's like the MAGA movement seems to have been co-opted in many ways, or at least there's an attempt to co-opt that movement by
There's always an attempt to
Israel,
co-opt
or you
these
know
people.
who knows
Yeah.
what entities or forces are behind it. But um, like both political parties are actually very weak. It just seems right now,
Yeah,
currently,
they're
that the
horrible.
Republicans are kind of in some ways in control, but like I mean, it's they're Democrats have no leaders, and the Republicans also have no
Nope.
leaders. Yeah, sure, they have Trump, but like, you know, Trump is gonna leave soon in the next couple of years. Like,
Right.
who's gonna lead the next generation? Marco Rubio, probably. I mean, it's probably gonna be him or Vance, but regardless, like, there's no real direction. There's no real leadership among any of these
Right.
political entities. Um,
Right. That's true.
so that's, I think, also partly why I think the shutdown is so symbolic in terms of just like, no, most people don't care. They like most people just forgot that the government is not even
Mm-hmm.
like happening. And because I mean that's the thing is
Right.
the energy is like no, it's like the citizens are like, okay, I don't really care. But I have stuff to worry about. Like
Right.
I have bills to pay,
Right.
and you know my family and AI and jobs and work and you know all sorts of stuff. I mean, there's everyone because right now everybody's being forced to do the work, whether they want to do the work or not. It's like everybody's forced to, like COVID, go within themselves and figure out
Right.
why they're kind of experiencing this intense chaos in their life. Just it's like
Right.
even their life might still be physically like normal, but they're feeling something intense and they got to figure that out. So they don't really got that much time. I mean, you even see it with the MAGA people because the MAGA people the last few months were so consumed by the like everything that Trump was doing, and then the Charlie Kirk thing was like the climax. But if you
Right.
notice right now,
Right.
the energy's sizzling. It's not it's dying down.
Oh,
They're
there's
they're
no
not they're
energy.
not they're
Nope.
not they don't like they're tired. The MAGA people are just tired. And they're tired because their
Yep.
lives are there's chaos in their life. So it's
Yep.
like who's gonna feed energy to the system? Everybody's everybody's retreating because they gotta figure their shit out. And then we're the only ones out here that got the energy, but you know, we're busy building the new reality, the new world order. We're not gonna entertain or feed energy to their system. So like, and I think that's in many ways why your dream is so like is so important, the one talking with Trump and
Yeah.
Marco Rubio, because it's like you're one of the few in the world, but specifically in the United States that has the energy. So obviously you're going to be meeting with them because they're like, "Hey, like how can we like work together?" And you're like, "Nah, fuck you guys." Like, like you got
Exactly.
to figure
Like
your shit
if you
out
had
before
done
you
this,
even talk to me.
if you had done this 9 months ago when I was like, yes, he's going to get in there, he's going, or if you hadn't disrespected black people by ignore Juneteenth, but write a whole proclamation for this freaking what's the name day, Columbia. That's disrespect. I don't take disrespect. Like you're not gonna look down on me and my ancestors who was here first, like we're some garbage. That's not gonna happen. And that's why I was yelling at that tribal leader too. You too, all of y'all have let this happen. Like, and I do blame the ancestors. They allowed this to go on for as long as it did. They fell subject to the propaganda. That's why I had at first I was like, oh, people should reach out to their ancestors as black people. But then I'm like, nah, because if their magic worked, we wouldn't be down this bad. It wouldn't look like it. Why look, because optics is everything. What it looks like it is. If it looks like a duck and it talks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. You can't tell me it's a rooster. That's not going to work out. And so because they let it look this bad this long, I'm not trusting nobody who does that. That's why I keep going back to older and older gods because like I said, before we was Hebrews, who were we? I am says that I am that I am. So I'm going back as far as that I am is. I'm not getting stuck on this Abrahamic religions, especially now that I done figured out Abraham is a freaking fraud, whatever's going on with him. Like, nah, I don't trust nothing Abraham said, which means I really shouldn't be trusting his ancestors, his bloodline too much. We can pick back up with Jesus, but all these people claiming Abraham ancestry, maybe they're not trustworthy. I mean, just maybe they should be like round up and ignored, because look at their father, Abraham. I don't call Abraham my father because I ain't claiming all of that nonsense. I'm going back. So the Etruscan is further back than, maybe not further back than Abraham, but it's further back than the Abrahamic religions, at least.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Interesting. So I think there was something else, but I think this was um yeah, yeah, I think so to end
So do
it,
you know what kind of vow you're gonna make? You know what kind of vow you're gonna make to Vegoia? What are you thinking?
I don't know actually. I mean,
Okay.
I haven't really thought. I mean, the you know, the oath and the vow that I did was, as I told you, with the Olympians. That's like the one and only one
Right.
that I have done, and that was with the kind of the oath um that in return for their loyalty and support of of guiding and supporting the Holy Imperium, that we're going to make sure that the Holy Imperium is going to make sure that they are remembered, they are cherished, and they are basically uplifted and empowered as they deserve to be. So that was like the vow slash kind of oath that I did with them. Um,
Okay,
I
so
still
let
have
me
to kind
mention
of.
that.
Mhm.
Let me just mention that this time period that we're in, Libra season, Virgo, Libra, uh, and Sagittarius. Scorpio and Sagittarius. Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. This is basically the only time of year that you do these kind of vows. So you kind of want to make them more frequently now, because basically this is where, if you think about the seasons, right? This is where you are planting your seeds for next year. Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. So you don't want to really like get too caught up in the details of what you're going to do for them, like specifically, like how specifically you're going to implement them. You kind of need to be looking for other entities to bring in, because then over the next year the relationships unfold from the relationships that you start now. So what you don't want to do is only have a relationship with the Olympians and then have to spend the next 12 months only working with the
Mm,
Olympians. That's not
right.
necessary right now. We got a lot of ground to cover really fast. Like, that's okay, like, like before this time period that we're in. But now is a time period that if some entity comes up, like comes to your awareness, you need to figure out your relationship with them. You've got the documents and stuff. So look and figure out where they fit in,
Mm,
figure out what it is, and make your vow. Like, don't delay, because when we get to Capricorn season, that the energy shifts, because Capricorn season is the start of basically the very bottom of the cycle. So that's when, right now, the days are getting shorter and shorter. When we get down to Capricorn season, the days are going to start to get longer again. And then that's an expanding energy. So you're trying to bring in as many different entities as you can at this point. And when we start moving to the more light, that's when the fullness is going to show. Like, I don't have any money to build a pump right now, so why would I even say that? You know what I mean? Like, but that's how, like, that's how I've been operating for the last 3 years, and it seems to be like accurate. Like, this time, like when I found the Spirit Intelligences book and all of that, it was in Virgo season. And by the end of actually by the end of Sagittarius season, that's when I started canceling the vows. So I was in a different energy going in a different direction. So, but I bought all those. It was like really crazy because I was doing crazy things. Like I was trying to connect with every single entity. So the first thing that I did, which again was crazy, I waited till the moon got into that degree. Because in every 30 days, about the moon hits every degree of the zodiac. Well, that's how I found out. Sometimes it's in a degree of the zodiac for 15 minutes. Sometimes it's in a degree of the zodiac for 3 hours. So for weeks, like at least 3 weeks, sometimes 3 minutes, 15 minutes, and sometimes every hour, all day and night, I was trying to connect with all these entities until I came up with an easier way to do it. But that was the only way I could think of at that time. So I connected with all of these entities, which is probably over 500 before I started canceling the vows, which happened in December. I mean, the contracts that happened in December. But I bought in all these different energies into my energy system, and then from once we canceled the contract in March, that's when I started really unfolding all the energies. Then I spent the next year doing the new moon and full moons, every new moon and full moon. So I also connected with all of those energies and every energy attached to every new moon and every full moon. So that was another year that I spent. So that was another like 200 or so entities. Like I mean maybe that's also not healthy, but like you're the emperor. So if I can do it, you should be able to do it. Like we got to take on a lot more entities than 12 or 13 at a time. We need to be taking on 200, 300, and commanding them what to do because all they're waiting for is a leader. They don't have any leaders. What we see on the earth is the same thing that's going on in the spirit realm. There are no princes. There are no dukes. There are no leaders. They're leaderless hosts at this point. So we don't have to get to know every single one personally and figure out
Mm.
every single one problem. We have to act like we're the managers because there are no managers. We have to be the leaders. You know all of your team because you've read their files, but that doesn't mean you've had necessarily a chance to speak to everyone. But as the need comes up, they know that you're working in their best interest, and so they work along. So you have to start if you're going to be anybody who's going to be on this side of it, which is the leadership side of it, you have to start thinking and moving like a leader, and not a leader of 10 or 12 people, but a leader of hundreds, a leader of thousands. How would you operate if you had to lead thousands? Like in my dream, what I walked out the door into a group of like 200, 300 teenagers and just started teaching them about, I didn't even miss a beat. I was like, okay, I want everybody to take a piece of paper and I want you to write down what your goal is. And then I started telling them how to pick their goals, how to set them up, how to correlate them to them. I didn't even miss a beat. So I went from yelling at the president and yelling at these elders to ignoring this whole problem with the school buses right into this big crowd of people to just start teaching them.
Mm.
Like I
Yeah,
didn't miss a
right.
beat in any scenario. Like I just kept going. It was cool.
Well,
And
and I
that's
think
how we
that's
have
gonna
to
be
be.
like the next progression. The next progression
Obviously.
is going from the school bus to basically like preaching to, hundreds, thousands plus people
Right.
in nature essentially, because it seemed like you were in nature,
Yeah, it
which is
was.
also
It was
very
like a
symbolic.
picnic. Right, right. Green grass, blue skies. It was beautiful. I was like, okay, yeah, I can teach y'all in this. I mean, and then what I was teaching on goal setting, like this whole, like I said we were going to talk about this, well we'll get back to it eventually, but your why, how to pick your why, how to use your why to motivate people to do what you want them to do, but still actually they're helping themselves, but it's also something that you need to do. The whole network marketing thing, like I just literally went out and started just talking about the whole thing, like it just broke down. It's very, like, again, surreal to me. The whole thing was surreal.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So I guess for then the next spaces, let's do a spaces on connecting to all these hundreds and thousands of entities, like kind of going deeper into, okay, like how do I do this? How do we do this? Because like
Okay.
I do see what you're saying and I'm definitely going to do it. But at the same time, like, it's a little daunting in terms of like, some
Yes.
guidance is helpful. And I think definitely having a spaces where you really go deeper into detail in terms of how do we take how do we best take how do we best take advantage of the current opportunity that we have in this season
Right.
to connect with as many of these entities as possible to be prepared for the next, obviously I was going to say the next year,
Right.
but yeah, as
Because
time continues.
yeah, no, it's the next year because this is literally this. Remember, this is our Lunar New Year, so this is the start of a new lunar year. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's why where it starts. Like when you go into a job, that's what you do. You pick up you figure out what your new thing is, and you meet, in general, all the people. And yeah, so we'll talk about that, like how to build goodwill with
Mm.
large groups. That's what it is. If you
Oh,
need to build
yes.
goodwill with a large
Yes.
group of
I like
people,
that. Yep.
how do you do that? How do you do that? And I know that very well because I work with teens. So if you can build a good relationship in with teenagers, then you can pretty much do it with anybody, because teenagers are the ones, they're very, very spiritual, but they don't know it, and they really follow their instincts. They really the most of them don't go away from their instincts.
Yeah, and how do you communicate with, as you were doing in the dream, hundreds of people and make each and every one of them feel special? Because if we're connecting with
Right.
if we're connecting with all these entities, like, or at least me and personally, this example, if I'm connecting with all these entities, like, I want to make sure that I'm doing it in a way that makes every individual one feel special and not feel like I'm just, oh, I'm
Mm.
just here trying to like just carpet bomb as many of these entities as possible, convincing them, hey, I'm like the good guy, and not really showing that devotion. And I think that's kind of partly why, like, I kind of, activated with these Olympians, and I haven't really done much in terms of beyond that. I'm just focused on these Olympians because I do want to show
Oh
them
yeah.
that I am serious. It's not just like, oh, hey, I'm this powerful person, I'm just gonna make friends with all these entities and they're gonna serve me and this and that. So for me, there's been a very conservative approach that I've taken, and I've been
Right.
very kind of careful to not overstep my bounds, but at the same time, I understand what you're saying in terms of like, we gotta, I have to reach out and connect, begin the connection with as many of these entities as possible. So, as you were saying, like, being as strategic as possible to make each and every one of them feel special, even though in many ways I'm talking
Right.
to all of them.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's really not as hard as you think. It just requires you to understand the hive mind and how the hive mind works. Um, so we'll talk about that. It's not complicated, but we'll talk about that. But
Beautiful.
like now I'm connected with groups of entities. I don't even know who these people are. I'm like, do you think I know anything about the Etruscan gods? Zero, except I knew terms because of the calendar. That's the only reason, because I don't know. Don't ask me even how I got to an Etruscan god, but it's got to be the same way that
And
I
this
got to a
is
Georgian god.
who's this god?
Terms is Etruscan Mercury or Hermes.
Oh, okay, yeah,
The
the one that
Etruscan Mercury.
Vegoia passes along to.
Yes, he's the messenger. Yeah. She sent a message
Mm.
through him to Aries. Now, mind you, I probably could have connected to Aries myself, but I had to involve terms because, like I said, terms is involved with my calendar. He is one of the lunar mansions, and the lunar mansion for that day had to deal with terms, which is why I had to use terms. So when I be putting this stuff together, it be like all kinds of random, like, pieces, which I try to make it simple for people. But yeah, I guess I need to break down the whole connecting with thousands of entities at once and what that like even looks like, because yeah, that does sound kind of crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the thing is, like, I think it is, but obviously, someone that is very ambitious and driven by their ego, they're gonna hear you and they're gonna be like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Right,
But
right,
like, and I think for what we're doing, it's not ego driven. It's This is a necessity. This is very important to do, and so it's important, at least and the way that we present it ourselves and understanding it is how do we do it in the most respectful way possible to honor them
Right.
and do it where because as you know, like when you first meet someone, first impressions is everything, and we want to make sure that we are
Right.
dressed to the nines energetically, spiritually, because like the there's a lot of people that are going to basically be and already are, but it's going to be even more the more kind of social proof we begin to build, that are going to literally be like follow in our footsteps, but they don't have good intentions. They just know that if they
Right.
follow our footsteps, they are potentially going to become very powerful. And so it's very important for us to understand that if we are going to basically speak about how to connect to hundreds, thousands of entities, that we're making it very clear in terms of like, you know, you got to be ready for it. Like, there's a certain energetic state that
Right.
one should really be at to be able to manage one entity, two entities. Now, we're doing hundreds and thousands because we've built ourselves up to manage that. I'm more than happy to do it because I know that I got it like that because I've been doing the work to be able to manage that. But people out there, they don't know what the fuck they're dealing with. They can't even manage their own emotions. How are they going to manage all of these other entities? So I think there's a very delicate fine line that we're walking, and the topics that we're gonna be getting into now are gonna be even deeper. Now, granted, the topics we've been
Right.
discussing have already been very deep and very groundbreaking and
Right.
transformational to reality, but like we haven't really gone deep. We
This is
we haven't
another
really, yeah,
level.
we haven't
No,
really
this is
gone
another
deep.
level.
Right.
Yikes.
So
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that at all. But one thing I can say to ease your mind is that if somebody doesn't have a pure heart, they can't get through the threshold. Like you can't get through the door without a pure heart. You can't fake the funk. Like if
mm,
you're a bad person and you have to pay karma before you can do any of this, karma must be paid. Like there's no like show up and just like move forward. It don't work like that. You're gonna have to pay your karma first. The reason why most people wouldn't try this is because they would think that they have like karma to deal with. Like you have to deal with your karma first. Because otherwise, again, when you believe you're dealing with an angel, there's a demon that actually comes instead because these entities don't just show up for anybody. If you're a wicked person, they're going okay. I'll just explain this shortly. In my cosmic tree of life, or my tree of manifestation, I think is what I call it now. I talk about the mirror world, and that is the realm that's ruled by the Olympic spirits. Okay, the Olympic spirits are the ones who translate your information from the upper realm into the lower realm. So if you are basically right now, we're going into the lower realm, which would be the bottom half of the tree, which would be the roots of the tree. When you're in the roots of the tree, when you're underground, right? You're buried underground because you're now a seed. You have no idea what's going on up on the top side. You can't even imagine what's going on the top side. So the only thing you can do is keep following that seed further and further down. But if you are a wicked seed, you're not going to make it down. Jesus tells the parable of the seeds. Some of the seeds got tossed away, some got washed away, some got eaten. Those were bad seeds. Only the good seeds are the ones that actually made it to produce fruit. And so this is kind of, again, back into this whole concept of the womb theology. This is kind of what it's like. You don't exactly know whether it's really going to work or not. This is the fastest response that I've gotten. But most of the time, you really don't know whether this stuff is really working or if it's just your imagination, because I never had anybody to confirm to me that what I was seeing was really what I was seeing. Most people said, "You're crazy. Why are you saying that? Like, that doesn't make any sense," or whatever. They did not believe that what I was seeing was real. And so, like, most of the time, you don't get a lot of confirmation. But if you're a wicked person, you won't do anything without confirmation. Like, you're not built to manage hundreds of thousands. You will micromanage yourself so much that, and you'll ask for money. Like you'll ask for like just straight up money when you haven't done any work. We've done a lot of work. Like we've put in a lot of work. You can't go through the birth process if you haven't done the work. You're the there's like I said, the Olympic spirits, these are not entities to play with. They will not allow you to bring forth what you think you're going to bring forth if you haven't done the work. So there's many levels of entities that's not even the ones that we're talking about that make sure that certain things can't be brought to the front. That's why these wicked people have to harvest the energy of righteous people. But the way my stuff works, if people do, because I'm committed to folk magic, I am committed to not having a initiation, it's a totally different set of rules. We're not going by the set of rules that everyone else has. So there's no secret information. I'm not withholding information and going to charge you for it later. And so as a result, it means that this information can't be used by the wicked either, because they can only use secret information. They can only use private information. But this is totally public. Like all of this stuff I'm doing it out in the public. They can't use it because the deceiver God they work with, whether you call him Allah or Jehovah or whatever, he doesn't allow them to use this kind of stuff that's easy. Because imagine this: if you work for the deceiver and you find out that now the deceiver has made you go through initiations, made you suffer humiliation and all of that, and I come up and I'm like, yeah, all you got to do is uh, tell Vegoia you're gonna have some good water in her name, and make a vow to her, and that's all. They're like, well, wait a minute, how much do I owe you? There's no price. Just go and get the water. That's what she wants. And remember her name and drink the water, put her name on it. Like, that's it. You don't have to do anything else. Imagine what the deceiver will say. The deceiver will intervene in those people's lives because those are his best workers. He don't want them leaving off his plantation. So yeah, he's going to intervene and make
Right,
sure that
right.
they don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he'll make
So
them feel
you
the
don't have to
pain of basically going against them.
exactly. So exactly. So you don't have to worry so much about these people. People will self-select. I notice now we have four people in here today listening. That's a huge improvement. Our numbers are starting to gather. So I'm really excited about that. So that shows that we're actually going in the right direction, that we're picking up some momentum energetically, because now you have more people actually, showing up and participating. So that's the confirmation I need that we're doing the right thing. And it's also confirmation that certain people can't get in the club. We've been doing this every Tuesday and every Friday for 4 months now, and people still ain't participating. Yeah, they can't get in. They knocking at the door, but they can't get in. That's
Yeah, well, it's
sad.
funny. It's funny how many people in my life, and I feel them all around me energetically. It's like they're at my walls of like my castle, but they're not even they're scared to even knock on the wall. Like they're scared to even like, hit the gate and be like, "Hey, like I'm here." They're just outside of the walls, just like hoping that I might go out and be like, "Hey, you come in with me." That's
Yeah.
that's how
You know
crazy it is.
why?
It's
Because
like
we are protecting you. So I was serious about that. Ain't nobody getting in you don't invite. Period. So if you want them in, you invite them in. But I'm telling you, if they start some trouble, some energetic entity is going to come and beat their hind parts. People get in trouble when they come into my space without permission. They get in a lot of trouble. I told you I had a dream where the lady went to jail. In my dream, she got something happened and she ran out the door. And I was just like, okay, what happened to she was trying to get me to sign a contract in my dream. Her ass ended up in jail. Like not even 10 minutes later. She was in jail. She was calling whoever else I was with in the room, her sister from jail, saying, yeah, I could see her in jail. She's like,
oh
yeah,
my god.
I'm not gonna be back. Oh, I didn't tell you this story?
So I
Oh
think you
gosh,
did.
it's
I think you
another one
did,
of
but
my insane
I don't think
dreams.
the jail part. I don't think we got that far.
Oh, Yeah. The sister the lady who was trying to contract with me illegally, she ended up in jail immediately. And she phoned into the sister. I could see it on the split screen. She was like, yeah, I'm not gonna be back tonight, so you could sleep in my bed. That's what she said. And the sister was like, okay. But I could see she was clearly in jail. So that's people don't, you can't enter into my dreams. And this is why when I made like all the videos, like the weird stuff you saw me doing, like, oh well, these aliens, like they're trying to reach out to me because they were naked. Remember, I told you I don't let nobody in my dream state that don't have clothes on. So I got really pissed off at them, and I sent some entities at them because don't come in my dream state with no clothes. And then I had another dream the next night, which kind of cleared it up. And I was like, okay, yeah, but y'all know, don't come in my dream with no clothes. I don't play that. So I don't play about people in my energy. I don't play. Like, there's no, like, you got the prophetesses on your side. So therefore, the prophetesses are the ones who crown the king, and we crowned you. So you can forget about, like, these entities can give it up. They're not getting in the gates. And it's not me, it's my friend who is the one who gets people taken out. I don't even do that. I usually just call in the earth, and the earth does weird stuff. But when people mess with her and her energy, they cease to live. So you ain't got nothing to worry about. And that's how I feel about anybody who is willing to do this with righteousness. We will take you under our wing. We will protect you. We will cover you. This is the kind of, and I said this to my friend earlier, this is the kind of burdens we're supposed to be taking. I'm supposed to be
Right.
taking the burdens of making sure people like you and our, our very, very valuable listeners are protected, because that's what I'm supposed to do with my energy. And I take it very seriously. So that goes to anybody who is, again, joining us in the what you call it, the Holy Emperium in righteousness. You're covered. People who are in our gates are in our gates. They're cool. The people who are outside the gates, they need to stay outside, because if you bring them in and it causes some trouble, they're gonna end up gone. And gone in the
Right.
physical realm and gone in the spiritual realm is the same. If I have to remove you in the spiritual realm, you're gonna be removed in the physical realm. It's no asking questions about it. We don't take that. We don't play them type of games around here. We're very strict.
Yeah, that's why they're scared. Yeah, people are scared. Like they're like shit. Like I know that I need his energy, but like
Right.
I can't get in, and I'm like freaking out
Right.
because the thing is these people, like at least in my life, like they realize that I am their answer. I am their salvation. Like if they don't come to me in some correct type of way, they're gonna continue to suffer. Because they don't have
Right.
the way. They don't know, like they mess with the wrong being. They mess with the wrong person. And so it's very interesting to feel that energy where like they know kind of what they have to do, but they like literally they cannot decipher, they cannot comprehend how to get themselves to do it, because energetically it's just not like it's not they're not ready. Basically that's really what it is. They're just not ready, because it's like when someone gives you a fake ass apology and you're like, you know what? It
Right.
was better for you to not even give me a fucking apology, because now you got me worked up.
Right.
Now you got me heated.
Right.
Out here acting like you're sorry, but I still feel like you haven't done shit. And that's the thing with these people is,
Exactly.
and yeah, they might feel sorry in the moment, but they're just sorry because they don't have the ability to siphon the energy. That's why they feel sorry.
Right.
They feel sorry for themselves.
Right.
So what's happening now is they're realizing, holy shit, I actually have to get my act together, but,
Yep.
that's gonna obviously take them fucking who knows how long, because, I mean, people are just the layers of control that people have been under is very intense. That's why, like, I do
Yeah.
give people, I give them, I give them some, what's it called? Like, I give them grace. I do not
Right.
allow their bullshit now because I used to allow it, but I give them grace because I understand that it is challenging. But I think that the very important piece in all of this is it's okay for it to be challenging. It's not, no one's saying that this is
Right.
easy. No one's saying that doing the
No.
healing work and being empowered and being high vibrational is easy. But it's opening yourself up to God,
Right.
embracing, as I call, the alpha. Like if you can come and if you have your arms open, if your heart is open and embracing of what we provide, everything's going to be great. It's going to work out. But if you come in with your heart closed up, trying to argue, trying to debate, trying to push your side, your way, this, that ain't going to work. That's not going to work. And that's the thing with these people is they have to go through a very intense ego death because they still refuse to open and serve God.
Right. Yep.
Because they
And that's
they
not the
believe they know the way, which is crazy because
right.
it's like, okay, if you knew the way, why are you suffering? Why are you going through these basically chaotic trials that's only going to get worse? But they, for some reason, they can't get into their heads that it's still taking time for them to digest the reality that, hey, like, it's okay. It's not like you're wrong. It's just it's okay to die. Really, that's what it is. It's like, hey, it's
Right.
okay to die. It's okay.
Yeah.
You did nothing wrong.
Yep.
Everything that you did to get you to this point where you're ready to die. Now die.
Right.
Stop holding
And
on.
they're just, and it's not like they're doing it by themselves. They literally have the Holy Spirit, their ancestors, everybody, their whole spirit team is trying to get them to the point where they can do the right thing. But they have to stop believing the deceiver. If they
Mm-hmm.
won't give the deceiver up as their God, then there's really nothing you can do for them. But if the person shows the, the as long as they don't pull an Abraham, and they show like the real intent of giving up their foreign god, because what Abraham did, I keep talking about this, let me just say what Abraham did was he made a covenant with God, like the creator, and then he turned around and made a covenant with the deceiver, and basically when he told the king of whatever that land was that Sarah was his sister, and instead of telling him that Sarah was his wife, he literally made a deal with the deceiver to continue the deception. So literally, he made two deals: one deal with the creator and one deal with the deceiver. And so Ishmael, which was his first son, was born under the contract of the deceiver, and Sarah, who had Isaac, was born under the contract of the creator. So this is what Abraham did. He literally created a bloodline of deception when he lied and said that Sarah was his sister instead of it being his wife. And it literally uses the phraseology in the Bible that tells you what the name of the entity is, but I'm not going to go into that. No one needs to really be digging into that to know who the deceiver is. I already told you. His name is Allah, Jehovah, Sun Wukong. Look into that if you want to know how to work more closely with the deceiver, which, I mean, why would you want to do that at this point? We all know how to be deceived. So let's not. But some people, they're coming here for wickedness. There's your point of wickedness. But if those people can give up the deceiver, then they can really move into the promised land. But some people are just like Moses. He couldn't go into the promised land because he struck the rock and made water come out. He used the deceiver. Water don't come out of no rock. Why you use deception just to impress the people? You can't do that. So basically, he couldn't go into the promised land because of his behavior. And not just him, nobody could go into the promised land until he died, which is ridiculous. They should have been able to leave his ass in the desert and keep on moving. So that's why we also not waiting for nobody. I'm not waiting for them to come and give me my inheritance. No, stop messing with my contract. Open this government. Get the hell to work. Okay, no more of this. I'm trying to negotiate with y'all so this can be a peaceful transfer of power. We crown the king, we crown the emperor. The rest of y'all are irrelevant. Get over it. It's too late and it's too bad. We're not playing these games anymore. Well, and they are mad. They're for sure mad. That's why they knocking and can't get in because they know they're gonna get knocked out. Uh-oh, hello. I can't hear anything. And I can't touch my thing because it's going to, I don't know.
Hello?
There we go. Now I can hear
Okay.
you.
Yeah, I was so I switched from Wi-Fi to cell service.
Oh God, yeah,
Yeah,
I hate when
they're
I do
all
that.
yeah, everyone's like it's the it was initially awkward, and it's probably still a little awkward for people. Just in general, the masses, it's awkward for people because again, like they have negated, at least in just my own personal experiences, which is what I talk about, they have negated me every step of the way. So imagine like your whole life, you're negating this energy, negating it, negating it, negating it, negating it. And then slowly but surely, the energy starts to consume you because that is what is in alignment. And then eventually you realize, holy shit, like this is the energy that I have to basically embrace and serve. That's traumatic for these people because they did not want at all for me to be who I am. That was not supposed to be in the cards. That is not at
Right,
all what they wanted. So for it to now begin to energetically, because obviously, this is all happening energetically. They don't, people don't know who we are. They cannot conceptualize the beings that we are, at least
no,
the
not
masses.
right
Obviously,
now.
there's individuals around us that like they can't conceptualize it, but at least there's some certain level of like, hey, we're at least semi-connected. But the
Right,
masses, all they're feeling is just chaos. They're just feeling chaos, and what they're feeling is the emperor has no clothes. Whoever was at the top,
right,
whoever the leaders were up there, we don't give a fuck about. They don't give a. The masses don't give a fuck about any of them anymore. That's why they're not
right,
giving them any energy. Where are they giving energy to? They're giving energy to us,
right,
to these narratives, to all these I mean, people are, their lifeline are all these narratives. Everything that we're speaking about, that we've been talking about, that we've been doing for all these years, that's what they're feeding energy to because that is what is in alignment. And
right,
when you're living in a reality of a misaligned reality, well, you got to find something to hold you over to figure out, well, is a boat going to come? Like, is someone going to come and rescue me? Yeah, it's us. We are the ones that are bringing like the rescue to the masses. And
right,
so yeah, everybody's like, it's awkward right now because they don't know how to deal with whoever the new whatever the new world order is, but also just in energetically, like they really, the masses, but like just kind of more the wicked people, like the deceiver, on the deceiver side, like they're very, very upset and very angry that it's not them. That's
right,
they've wanted this more than anything else. Sure, yeah, money's nice, but they've wanted the power. They've wanted the status. They've wanted the as they call it, the clout. And to begin to realize that it's not even slipping from their grip. They were never even close to it. They were
no,
never even close to it. So
no.
for them to realize, as their reality collapses into literal just failure, that's very traumatic for these people.
Well, imagine how traumatic it is for Trump because okay, so this is the first dream I had. He wasn't in it, but I heard like this was back in 2022. I heard like the entire, I would say like spirit realm. They was all just yelling Trump, 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 Trump. And I was like, I told this story before, but I didn't go into all like the whole dream and everything. But I was like, I don't give a F what y'all say. This was in 2022. I was like, I'm done with politics. I'm not getting involved with this stuff. I said, I don't give a F what y'all say. If y'all wanted to be Trump, then I need to see some money. And I literally put a dollar amount on it. Y'all pay me and I'll go out and give the prophecy, which is why I never gave the prophecy because they never gave the money. So now I done picked you. So whatever they was talking about, thinking about, that's why I just yelled at him, yelled at the leaders, and walked out. Like we don't have nothing else to say. You didn't get picked because you didn't do what you're supposed to. Y'all old, get the hell out my way. And I'm like not getting involved with none of this. Because we already made a
And
choice.
you went straight to preaching.
Right. And
Like
I
you
went
went
straight to
straight to
preaching.
the youth,
Yep.
because the youth is the ones that have the power.
Yep.
They're really the ones that have the energy. And
Exactly.
as you could see, like no one gives a fuck about these middle schoolers, these high schoolers, these college kids.
It's
Like
terrible.
everybody's like, yeah, just get into a shit ton of debt, go to college, like fuck you. They're basically, fuck the youth. Like the youth have no guidance.
Nope.
The youth are lost right now.
I was gonna
So
say
it's
something
no wonder
about
why
that too,
you're
because
the one preaching.
yeah, I was gonna say something about that too, because this whole Taylor Swift thing. I mean, not to go off on another tangent, but here we are. This whole Taylor Swift thing, they literally like her brand is dead. She's 35. She getting ready to hit that 36 where you start to die. So basically they don't have anyone to lead the youth. And I had said this to you in a message, but like if you can be a streamer and make $10,000-$20,000 a month, even $500-$600 a month as a streamer, why do you want to go into the music industry? Why do you want to go into Hollywood? You don't need them. You do your own stuff, your own streaming, your own music, your own whatever, and you don't worry about that stuff. Like you just don't worry about it. But they
Hey,
have
Captain.
nobody in that age group. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I just like listening to you guys speak because you guys just verify so much shit that I've been fucking verifying on my own on like a daily basis every single day. And it's so
Welcome to the
funny
team.
because it's so funny listening to you guys in particular. Like I can actually verify what you guys are saying through my fucking art. It's like, wow, that's fucking insane. Uh, so when you talk about the deceiver in particular, um. Yeah, my childhood friend got flipped by the deceiver, and it actually made me really
Oh,
sad because back in May, he sent me a text message, right? And on the surface level, it appears very innocent, but he says, "How you doing, my brother?"
mm-mm.
Yeah, people don't know I have like my awareness is just off the charts. So I can tell just by reading a message whether that's you, your spirit speaking, or an entity that is using you to speak through you. And
Wow.
since I create art every single day outside, when I saw that message, I actually started crying because it's like, damn, they're actually using people from my childhood to like target me now.
It's crazy.
and and then during the summer, my friend followed up again trying to like target me because he's now a part of like this fucking like type of cult slash church that randomly popped up. I don't know what the fuck that shit is. But like
Yeah.
over the summer, he fucking reached back out to me again and he's talking about like Jesus dying for your sins. What's your relationship to Jesus? Jesus this, Jesus
Oh
that.
gosh.
And I'm reading this text message and at the same time I'm listening and since I'm incorporating the information that you've been saying within these spaces about uh like this deceiver that they're actually following when he's asking me about like my connection to Jesus, but when I'm reading the word Jesus within a text message, I'm like, who is this guy? That's yo, it's like I never met this guy before. I actually like you keep saying Jesus, but I don't know you.
Right.
That was one of the big
Yeah.
red flags. And then the other day, my friend reached back out to me again. And it's not a coincidence that chaos it keeps reaching back out to me as my powers are just accelerating at such a fucking insane rate. He fucking reaches back out to me. He goes, "I had a vision of you joining me in the church." And I go,
Absolutely not.
and I go, vision, you say? So are you clairvoyant? I'm fucking clairvoyant. And so I go, visions, you
Jesus.
say, are you clairvoyant? And he goes, no. So I'm like, oh, this is when I start measuring him up because he's like, the
Right.
devil has you in bondage, bro. You have to come to me for healing. And I go, then I throw this out there because I want to bait him into seeing how thirsty he was for my information. Uh I go, I know the name of my spirit, which I actually do.
Right.
And right away he asked me, "What's the name of your spirit?" And I go,
What?
I'm not telling you that. So not only did you want the name of my spirit, you wanted me to come to you so you can quote unquote heal me. You wanted to touch me.
Jesus.
You wanted
Yeah.
to sap away hours. And since I know you've said in spaces that these kind of malicious entities can only hijack a pure soul, I'm a pure vessel. And
Yep.
within his messages, he made this emphasis, you have a pure heart. He he fucking
Oh my
he
gosh.
exposed himself instantly to me, and he didn't even know that he was being exposed just off the words he was saying. Like this is what chaos does. Like, and so like that kind of like all this religious propaganda, that shit doesn't work on me anymore, because it's like my spirit was here before Jesus. So when you keep fucking
Right.
asking me about Jesus dying for your sins, like, Jesus didn't die for my sins. I was already serving God before Jesus came into the picture. Like,
Well, and even again back to what I said, Jesus didn't die
yeah, that's a
on
good
the cross. Like
distinction.
he didn't die on the cross. Like no, he actually gave up his spirit. So it doesn't say that he died on the cross. It said that he gave up his spirit. So if that's how I do, like when I listen to people talk, if they say things like that, like Jesus died, he's in the grave, I'm like, mm-mm. I already know they listening to the deceiver, because Jesus didn't die. He gave up his spirit. He's not in the grave. He rose. So like, what is going on here? Like, what exactly are you saying? Like, that's somebody whose mind is not even in one place. And so I'll give you an example. This is how they work. I got a text message from my mom on Sunday. Oh, can you pick me up from the train station tomorrow? Which was yesterday. And I was like, okay. So at the last minute, Saturday, she texted my sister, and I heard my sister say something to her husband about it, but I was like, this don't have nothing to do with me. So at the last minute, she asked me to pick her up from the train station and take her home. My mother, and whatever entity she's working with, that thing only shows up when money is coming. So she came down here, I know, to try to make sure she gets her energy into my money. Now the money haven't showed up yet, but I know when she shows up, that money is coming, because that's what she does. She go where the money. That entity has her following the money, and so that's why she's back down here, because she think she gonna get her hands on some of my money or whatever. I don't know, but I this is how they work. This is my own mother. So I just be like, ooh, where she come from? She just showed up out of nowhere. That's weird. Yeah, she looking for some money. It's awful.
Yeah, one of my roles in particular is also protecting boundaries, reinforcing boundaries. I am very intense with boundaries, energetic boundaries. So,
Yeah,
I'm actually in the middle of protecting my mother's boundaries from family members targeting her
yeah,
energetic boundaries. And it's like, okay, now chaos continues to target other family members to target my mom, because my mom comes from a very special lineage, just like me, in my opinion.
right.
So it's just like, yeah, I came down here to protect my mother and to just stop that fucking cycle of nonsense of people overstepping boundaries. Uh,
Right.
yeah, it's crazy. Um, so much crazy shit has been happening to me in a good way too. That just confirms so many things. But uh, the more I listen to these spaces, and man, I could pick apart so many things you said, and just I was like, wow, she's speaking fucking truth. And I was
Thank
confirming
you.
it through my own art. I'm like, this shit is fucking wild. I remember one space you had in particular, you were talking about COVID within the context of planet Earth, and you were like, planet Earth was wondering where the hell did all the people go, right? Uh
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yo, back in August, I made an artwork depicting the sun fucking yawning. This, like, I
Oh my
depicted an
gosh.
abstract piece of art. The sun literally had its eyes closed and it was fucking yawning. And I'm like, holy fuck, the sun's waking up. And then it
Wow.
made me reflect on what the fuck you said. I was like, yeah, that just validated another thing she just fucking said. And it's like the more I go
Wow.
through my art, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty fucking wild that I can go through like months and months of catalog and just validate everything like this space and these conversations have been fucking detailing. And it's like, wow, that's pretty fucking impressive. And I'm a Scorpio. So when you talk about death and rebirth and how we can just implement knowledge pretty much on the spot, that shit's true too. I
Yep.
also made a piece back in
Yep.
August depicting death and rebirth. Like the
Wow.
and I'm not even like, and the thing is, I'm when I make art, it's not like I'm constantly going and saying, "Hey, I'm going to make a piece depicting this, this." No, I literally just remain open. Whatever flows through me, flows through me. And
Mm.
I'm getting really good at understanding my own energy. And so what happens is, because I am so open and I'm so pure, that I pick up the emotional state of other people. So your body will interpret that as, wait, why am I feeling lonely all of a sudden? Why am I feeling this all of a sudden? No,
Right.
yeah, that's not my feelings or my state. That's, I'm being projected on by something out there, right? And then
Right.
this is when I started I started implementing this over the summer. Whenever I feel like I'm being targeted by a malicious entity, I will literally say out loud now, you have 48 hours to leave my vessel before I destroy you. I give them grace. I give them a 48-hour grace period to leave my vessel now. And then when I say that out loud, these fuckers come out through my art. And I'm like, yup, that's not my
Wow.
energy. That's not my energy. I captured you. I brought you from the fucking spiritual realm back into the physical world through my art. And because I channeled you through my art and I know what my energy feels like, I now know what your energy feels like, and you fucking just left my vessel. That
Right.
shit,
You got to
yeah,
go.
that shit's crazy. Um, which, you know, I think was like over the summer you were talking about ancient Egyptians in particular and the kind of like dark magic that they were fucking doing.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to know what's
Yes.
insane? When I said when I
Go
said
ahead.
over the summer you have 48 hours to leave my vessel before I destroy you, guess what fucking entity fucking ended up coming out?
Oh Lord. Which
I
one?
remember you bringing up the sky dragon. Is that
Yes.
um I don't
Yes.
know your feelings regarding the sky dragon. It might belong to, does the sky dragon get associated with Osiris? Anyway, I found that interesting that when I said you have 40 hours to leave my body, and then when I went to go make art, that all of a sudden this sky dragon just appears out on my paper. I'm like, that doesn't feel like my energy. Who the fuck is this? It's just like, yeah,
Well, that's actually funny because last year was the year of the Sky Dragon. So you were like, I don't know if it was bad or good. I mean, it's okay. It's like uh it might have been like you said Osiris, cuz I don't know. I don't get into those Egyptian deities because they have initiation
yeah,
rites and
I don't
I don't
either.
deal with any pantheon with initiation rites. But the sky last year was the year of the Sky Dragon. So you were literally like calling in the current year energy, which now we're in the year of the snake. So you're, pushing out the old energy and bringing in the new energy, which is, hey, this is what I mean by all the people who are under the umbrella, because you doing that push this narrative forward. Like, you have to go back and like always never forget, like, to integrate the parts of the story where you did something and something else happened. So I have to add that to the way that I tell the story, because you pushed out the old energy so that it couldn't linger any longer and really pulled in the new energy, which allowed us to pull in Poseidon, which allows us to now to pull in what I call her name? Vegoia. Because again, this stuff doesn't happen without many different people energetically putting their energy to this and really like pulling it in. Like, we're not asking anymore. I just feel like energetically, that's the big picture. We're not asking anymore. We tried asking. We were very nice. We gave them a lot of opportunity to do the right thing. That time is over. Like, we have to move forward. Like, everybody on the timeline now is talking about how, oh, we had a jump. We had a timeline jump. Like, the whole timeline. Like, I follow, I guess, a lot of spiritual people. They're like, oh, why does this energy feel weird today? What is going on? So on and so forth. It's like, oh, I guess we had a timeline jump. And I'm like, y'all are just realizing we had a timeline jump on Saturday. Y'all are just feeling it today. What is wrong with your energy? You should have felt that thing on Saturday when I made this vow, because that's when the energy switched. It was immediate. It was immediate that things change, and they haven't been able to get control of this thing in the longest. Like, they can't, they really have no way of coming back energetically unless we allow them to come back. So I think I was very nice. I gave them 3 more days until 12 days to put the government back together. And so let's see what happens when they don't. I don't know if they're gonna play with my gangster or not, but I don't suggest it. If I don't suggest it. So they're monitoring all of this stuff. They got clairvoyance, they got watchers, they got spiritual people, psychics, and all that stuff working for the government. So they know, like, literally, like, what is going on. Let's just see if they try to test our gangster over here at the Holy Emperium. I don't think it's a good idea. I hope they don't, actually.
Oh, yeah, you guys are 100% protected. I'm protected too. You guys are definitely protected.
Yeah. We have
These
multiple
these
rings
these
of
fuckers
protection
these
around
fuckers are
here.
weak. They're
Yeah.
weak.
Yeah. Yeah. Enough is enough of them, I think. Oh gosh, you guys, I'm gonna have to go to bed. I have to actually go to work tomorrow. Emperor, are you gonna
Yeah,
close us
thank you.
out?
This was great. Thank you so much. Thanks, Captain, for joining and giving your perspective experiences. It's always very helpful to see how others are flowing with the energy and the insights and all the amazing, beautiful things that are happening to all of us, not just us individually, but also just humanity as a whole. And that's awesome to see. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming, for joining, for listening, and we'll do another spaces on Friday. Thanks. Enjoy your week.